Good evening, everyone. I'm Captain Todd Moore, Commanding Officer of Naval Submarine Base, New London, and I want to welcome you to our fireside chat tonight, where we're going to talk about Navy housing, quality of life issues. And I'll be joined by two guests. We'll speak in a relatively rapid format. This should be a quick presentation to provide you some great information about both a housing survey that's going on as well as water quality in and around our installation. So tonight we are at our Goose Run Golf Course Clubhouse. Here we have our very own fireplace. So I want to thank MWR for hosting us here, and just emphasize that I look forward to the day in a few months' time when we'll be able to open this facility, play some golf, and enjoy some outdoor dining on the back deck. But until that time, they've graciously allowed us to use the fireplace here for our chat. So as I said, we're going to talk about two topics tonight. To begin with, we're going to talk about the housing survey, and I'm joined by Ms. Donna Wilson, the director of our Navy Family Housing Service Center, to talk about the annual survey that's going on. But before we do that, of course, Donna, I always want to talk about the issue resolution process to make sure our viewers understand that. So could you just provide a refresher to that?
Sure, Captain. So residents can call in any emergency they have through the Balfour Beacon Point Homes line at 860-446-5934. For routine maintenance, they can use the resident portal that's available to everybody. If they need help setting that up, all they have to do is call somebody at Beacon Point Homes too. That would be the first step. The second step is if they're not satisfied, if their maintenance they feel that it's been non-responsive or incomplete, then they definitely should contact the community manager. And then if that still isn't satisfying them, then that's where our office would step in, and they should just call the family housing office, and we'll step in and be the liaison for them. They can also obviously always go through their own chain of command, and or the sub-base triad would also be their advocates.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Donna. So once again, to emphasize that there are numerous means of getting a hold of Balfour Beatty communities to elevate problems that may remain unresolved. Then sub-base housing is your advocate to interface with Balfour Beatty, as well as your own chain of command. So I would suggest that if you're not finding satisfaction with the sub-base housing office, that you immediately bring it up with your chain of command, as well as sub-base chain of command. I'm happy to hear about any issues or problems you may be having. Additionally, for those whose service members may be deployed, remember, you are not on your own. You've got a network of support from your command ombudsman to your perhaps squadron CMC or your command's CMC, as well as the base CMC and myself. If you have an emergency, obviously you want to go to Balfour Beatty, but if you need a helping hand with something, recognize that your Navy community is here to help you. All right, so speaking of help, Donna, would you please tell us a little bit about the annual survey and how that helps residents of our communities?
Sure. So the annual public-private tenant survey started in December. It actually was extended and will end February 9th. Big Navy, and certainly we here at Subbase would like everybody to take it, participate if they're a Beacon Point housing resident. The feedback that we get from that is valuable, provides information to us to help improve life and service in PPD housing. It also helps Big Navy and our housing partners get an insight into where things are right and where they may need to improve in some areas.
Okay. And what can you tell me about the survey itself?
So the survey itself is one, it's anonymous. Two, it is administered by Sell & Associates, which is a third-party company. And of course, it's funded by the Navy. So it's not funded by Beacon Point Homes or privatized housing at all.
Okay. Right, so it's not a Balfour Beatty survey. This is paid for and administered by the Navy to really assess how Balfour Beatty is doing the job of running the community. All right, great. So then how do our residents participate? How do they get a hold of the survey to participate?
So everybody should have gotten an email from Sullen Associates directly. If they did not receive that email, then they can contact the Housing Service Center. We can be contacted by phone, 860-694-3851. And if they would like to, they could contact us by email too, at housing.nsbnl.fct@navy.mil. And we will give them a link that will send them directly to Cell, and Cell will ask them a couple of questions. They'll want to know their address and the installation, and then they will directly send them out an email. The important thing to remember is it's only one per household, so spouses can actually take the survey if the service member is deployed. However, they're only allowed one per household.
Okay, so let me make sure I understand that. So if you did not get an email advertising this survey, you might want to check your spam filter. Maybe another member of the household, the spouse might have gotten it. But if none of that pans out, you can't find it, then contact the housing office.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So what are the end results of this survey? How does this help our community?
So last year, Big Navy reported that the feedback from the survey spurred things like more transparency, greater use of online apps, hiring additional personnel for family housing, and the partners have additionally hired people. And the other thing, the biggest thing I think, was adding time between occupants so we can really make sure that the homes are ready for incoming renters.
Absolutely. Okay, so I think that's an interesting point there. If you didn't know, when one resident moves out, Balfour Beatty does maintenance, cleanup, and prep for the next resident, and then they do an inspection, and then your office double checks that. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, awesome. Thank you, Donna, for helping us understand the survey. And please, if you haven't participated yet, take advantage of the extension that Donna mentioned, and get a hold of that survey and participate so that we can make this community a better place to live and work. I know that's what Donna's team is working hard on. So thank you, Donna. I appreciate the information.
All right, thank you, Captain.
All right, have a good night. Now, for our viewers out there, we're going to take a quick pause while we do a wipe down of my guest seating area. But shortly, I'll be joined by Rich Masad from Subbase Environmental to talk about drinking water quality within Balfour Beatty communities and Navy housing. So just stand by one moment, and Rich will join me shortly. Okay, thank you, Chief. All right, Rich, come on in, have a seat. Thank you, and as I was just saying, this is Rich Masad from Subbase Environmental. He's here to help us understand the drinking water system within Navy housing and how we maintain drinking water quality. So Rich Masad is the water quality program manager. He's kind of the spearhead at the installation for making sure we have safe water. Isn't that right?
That's correct, Captain. Thank you for having me. And probably the first point I'd like to make with respect to the water program is that, as residents I'm sure know, housing was largely privatized quite a long time ago. But the pipes that are in the roads that deliver the water out to the housing residents are owned by the Navy, so the Navy still has that responsibility. We buy water from Groton Utilities. They are our water supplier, but we don't treat the water. We basically hook up to their pipes at select locations, and the water is distributed to the different housing areas and the housing units themselves from those connections. And probably more importantly than anything, it's very much a team effort. A lot of people involved that play a big role in this. I focus on water quality in the PW Environmental Office. Groton Utilities has been a wonderful assistance and stakeholder in this process, very helpful. They obviously supply our water. The utilities guys in Public Works do all the operations, maintenance, flushing, a very important role with respect to the actual operation of the system itself. Of course, Donna's office, Navy Housing Service Center, Beacon Point Homes, play a big role in that as well.
Okay, great. So, the Groton Utilities provides the water, the same water that they provided other members or other households in the region. And then Subbase, Public Works Department maintains the pipes and as I understand, monitors for quality. Can you tell me about how we monitor water quality?
Sure. The Navy hired engineering professionals that work a lot with regulated public water systems, like Groton Utilities. They look at our water utilities maps, they look at the layout, they look at the population, and they basically helped us develop sampling plans for each of the housing areas that take into those considerations the layout, piping distribution, and the population of each system. How many people are actually drinking the water from each housing area?
Okay. And so, what can you tell me about the water quality itself?
Well, first and foremost, the water is perfectly safe. All the data we have in the testing shows that we fully meet EPA and state public health code requirements for safe drinking water. People out in housing should have no qualms about drinking water out in housing. It meets all the requirements.
Okay. And if there were an issue detected with water quality, what would you do?
Well, I'm, I guess you'd say, at the head of anything with respect to the results coming in. As I mentioned before, it's very much a team effort. I have contacts in Donna's office, Navy Housing Service Center, and Beacon Point Homes. I immediately make calls to those offices. Fortunately, because we've had good results, we haven't had to resort to this. But if we did, for the sake of argument, those calls would go out, and the resident would be informed through those offices that, hey, we have to resample in your home. Appointments would be made, and would basically go from there. But there is a definite procedure if that happens.
Okay. And if I understand this correctly, you're actually sampling, or our contractor is sampling at the supply of what at the distribution in the kitchen sink, for example. Is that right?
That's correct. In essence, the water that we are sampling is pretty much the water that the housing residents are drinking from the kitchen sink as part of meals, coffee, what have you. These are licensed professionals. They know exactly what they're doing. They wear all the PPE. They go through the right protocols. Our labs are fully certified. So there definitely is a trained individuals in the process. And yes, that water sample result that I get comes directly from the kitchen sink.
Okay. So you mentioned that the sampler will be wearing PPE to enter the house and take the sample, which obviously means that we need cooperation from residents to get these samples and monitor the water quality. So
Correct.
Can you tell me about how our residents can become even more involved in this process?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Over time, Donna's office has been great in her office, the Navy Housing Office, and Beacon Point Homes. They've been very helpful to me over the years in trying to build up a team of interested resident volunteers. And I've slowly been able to build that up, but we need more help from them. And yes, as you said, on top of the existing pandemic protocols, we need assistance from the residents to be able to get into the home, to get the sample. And it's as easy as this. Just give me a call. I'm at 860-694-5140. I'm right on base, and I'd be happy to sign people up. I look forward to people calling me to be able to sign that up. It's easy. I basically ask you a few quick questions in terms of where you live and your address and a way to get a hold of you. But we basically test the water in the home. It doesn't cost residents a thing, and basically you let me do my job to be able to look out for the quality of your water.
Well, great. That's a great service. Whether you want to be a part of that or not, you can rest assured that your water quality is being sampled throughout the neighborhood. But if you want your very own tap to be monitored, you can contact Rich. And say again that number, please.
Sure. It's 860-694-5140. And I'd also like to say that our water results are put out there on the Subbase Facebook page. It's out in social media. If residents want to look at the water quality report for the base, it's out there. They can easily just call me, and I can you can Google it, of course. But if you need any assistance or help, just feel free to call me, and I'll direct you right to the site where you can get that water quality report.
And that's a great point, Rich. So there is a Subbase page on the CNIC page, Commander Navy Installations Command. You can get to Subbase, and in that find a lot of information about the installation, and including finding this water quality report, a number of other important phone numbers and information about the base. I know it's not Facebook, but it's another way to learn about what's going on here at the installation. So thanks for that, Rich.
You're welcome.
So I encourage you to be a volunteer and give Rich's office a call if you have questions. I want to thank Rich and Donna for being here tonight to help share information about what's going on in our community. And of course, want to thank our NWR team for hosting us here, our public affairs team for putting this presentation together, and most of all, thank you for being a part of this tonight. We are your advocates to make your quality of life better and make this community a better place to live and work. So if you have any feedback or questions about this, please don't hesitate to reach out to the individuals who are here tonight or Subbase Public Affairs Office for feedback about this presentation. Thank you, have a great night, and stay healthy out there.